안녕하세요 여러분. 저는 여러분의 한국어 친구 나탈리아입니다. 로라 소개할래요?
네. 안녕하세요. 저 라우라라고 하고 독일 사람입니다. 2016년에 우리 함께 한국에서 네 맞아 한국에서 유학생이었어요.
독일에. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of you guys were asking me on my Instagram why I was learning German or why I was going to Germany is because of my lovely friend Laura here. So we became very close during our time in Korea. So we've been keeping in touch, visiting each other. So right now I am in Germany. Maybe you didn't figure that out. Anyway, so I'm in Germany. We're currently in our hostel in Dresden. And you might be like, why are you filming this video now? Okay, well, listen. I thought this would be a great time to answer your questions about studying abroad in South Korea because you wouldn't have just my opinion, but you'd also have Laura's opinion. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So what is our first question, Laura?
All right. The first question was, did you ever have to worry about the political issues?
No.
No.
So I think I could say, like, in our experience, the Koreans didn't talk about North Korea all that much. I know, like, in American media, it's always played up a lot, but in Korea, I never heard anything. Like, my parents my parents would text me and be like, "Did you hear about what North Korea said?" And I'd be like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah, and in Germany too, like, you hear way more about North Korea in Germany than you hear in South Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the thing when we were in South Korea in 2016, they were trying to impeach their president, which they did eventually. So there were a bunch of peaceful protests, but they were in Seoul and our school was outside of Seoul.
Yeah.
So we didn't really, we heard about it, but it didn't really affect us. Yeah, not at all.
Like, I know some of my Korean friends, they went and participated in the protests, like, on the weekend, but there was nothing like that affected our lives or anything.
No, not at all. I think they had some banners in the school, and I saw like a few stickers in the subway that said like impeach the president.
Oh, that's right.
And that was it. Yeah. Very peaceful, and we always felt very safe there.
Very, very safe. All right. And then so our next question is from Instagram. It was, what was your biggest culture shock going to or living in South Korea?
So I thought about it, but I wouldn't say like I really had a culture shock. I've been to Asia before, not Korea specifically, but most Southeast Asia. But I've also traveled in other countries and continents a lot. So I didn't really have strong expectations. I just knew it was going to be really different. So I wasn't really shocked. Like, there were some things that I thought were really different, like what I missed most, especially in the first few weeks, was bread. We had a lot of bread in Germany, and there was no bread at all. It was all rice. Just rice everywhere, every day, every meal.
And then like the pastry shops or the bakeries in Korea, their bread was so different.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
And they had a lot of them had stuff in the middle.
Yeah, it was really unsuspecting. It was really surprising.
Yeah, it looked like
just regular bread, and then you bite it, and it has sugar inside or something. And then regular, but then no.
Yeah, and then no. You couldn't tell from the label. Even if you could read Korean, you couldn't tell that there was going to be jelly inside. And it wasn't a little bit of jelly. It was you'd bite into it and then it'd all like a toothpaste bottle. You hit it and it went. It was like that. So bread. Yeah. Is there anything else for you other than bread?
I mean, no, not really, I guess.
Yeah.
No.
I know we were thinking about this earlier because that was a long time ago. So I think we adjusted to things, so we don't really remember a lot of culture shock.
Yeah. Maybe there was definitely some differences, but nothing really shocking.
Yeah. I know for me, in America, we can use card everywhere and there's no penalty for the user. But in Korea, there was always a fee on top of the regular price. Or they wanted you to only pay in cash, or you had to meet a certain minimum to pay with card, which for me was very different. So I had to get used to always carrying around cash, where in America I never have cash, ever. I never carry cash.
Germany loves cash. We also, in a lot of shops, you need a minimum, or you can't pay at all with your credit card. So Yeah. That was no shock for me.
Yeah, you were used to it. I wasn't expecting that. I remember being salty about it. Being like, what do you mean I can't use my card? But Yeah, and I know for a lot of like restaurants and stuff, they give you like your price would be different than on the wall if you paid in cash. It'd be like less, or it ended up being more if you paid with card, depending on what the restaurant decided to use as their like prices that they put on the menu or the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
I know for me, a lot of it was how like community based not necessarily the culture was, but like the restaurants, because a lot of the places were like shared dishes.
Yeah.
Especially for dinner time. So if you wanted to go eat like for dinner, it was either like you eat by yourself at the CU, which is the convenience store, like you get ramen or something, or you have to go like into town or have someone like order. So I remember Laura would always like put in the group chat, anyone want burritos?
They had this burrito delivery service in our college town.
So good.
It's so good. The Mexican kept complaining that it wasn't real burritos.
It wasn't.
But I mean, we don't have a lot of Mexican food in Germany anyway, so I had no expectations and I really liked it.
Yeah.
But you had to have a minimum, so I would always put in the big group chat, like where all the exchange students were in, like 50 people or something.
Yeah.
Anyone want to order with me?
Yeah.
And yeah.
You'd see that a lot. Anyone want to order some pizza? Anybody want to like buy some campita with me? Just like a lot of group meals.
Yeah.
Specifically, especially for dinner. Especially for
Yeah.
dinner. So that was like a culture shock. It wasn't a bad thing. It was nice. It was actually really nice. But that was different. And then, what was our next question?
Yes. Also on Instagram, someone asked, is it expensive? Does the university there provide you room to stay? Is it easy to stay in Korea?
Okay.
So there are several questions.
Yeah. So for our program specifically, because we can't speak about any other programs, ours was super affordable. They paid for about half of our plane ticket. They gave us free housing in a dorm. So yes, like a room was provided. And then they gave us a stipend every
Really
week.
nice.
Almost every week. Because it was technically an internship program, so we were there to help some of the Korean students like improve their English like speaking skills. So
But it wasn't a lot of work.
No, it wasn't a lot of work.
They gave us a lot of money for very little work, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Like especially because we didn't have to pay any tuition either, and the room was free. So I don't even know how much the room would have been. I don't know how much the Koreans paid to stay in the dorm.
We just know that our dorm was the most expensive dorm.
Yeah, because the Koreans paid a lot to stay with the foreigners, because if they stayed in that dorm, they would get like matched up with a foreigner.
Right.
So if they were in the Chinese program, they would get a
Match with the Chinese roommate.
a Chinese roommate, and if they were in the English program, with
Right.
like one of us.
So basically, they were paying for us to be there.
Yeah.
So that's why it was very affordable for us.
Yeah.
So they gave us, I want to say 120,000 won each week, right?
Wasn't it 90?
No, it was like 100 something.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was about 120,000 won.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put it in US dollars, it was about 100-ish, maybe a little over 100. Because I remember I would convert it every time.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't bother.
So if you didn't like go out and travel or buy a lot of things, you could totally live off the stipend they gave you.
Yeah, but I mean, you couldn't really go to Seoul or something with that money.
Yeah.
Not every weekend or something.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think anyone survived just off of that stipend, because I
Right.
mean, obviously people wanted to do stuff in Korea, not just chill at the small college town.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could have done that.
Yeah. And then since it was a college town and the city, like Laura was saying the other day, that city like is only there for the school.
Yeah.
So a lot of the prices were meant for students. So I remember one time we were used to paying about 3,000 or 4,000 won for samgyeopsal, which is like Korean barbecue. It's really good.
So good.
So good. Anyway, one time we were traveling to Seoul
Yeah.
for Chuseok, or like Korean Thanksgiving, and we walked into a like samgyeopsal place.
Hongdae,
It was
I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
Hongdae, yeah. And it said 16,000 for like the meat. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think it was unlimited.
Yeah,
but
it was
still.
unlimited. And so we thought, oh, okay, well, there's 4 of us. So if you divide 16 by 4, it's the same price. Because we thought it was for the table.
Yeah.
And then we found it was per person.
We were shook.
We were so shook. We were so upset about it.
Yeah, because when we had to pay afterwards, we're like, okay, that's gonna be... And then, like, how much would it... Like,
The Ajumma
a
was
lot.
like confused
Yeah.
on why we weren't giving her like as much money. And we were confused on why she was confused. Yeah.
I was really sad.
We were very upset about it.
So much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we learn to appreciate
Our
small
student
college
prices.
funds. Yes.
Yeah. So that was affordable. And then I think transportation was pretty affordable too. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
you
I
have
mean,
different standards because
yeah,
you have a
'cause
transportation
in Germany,
system.
yeah, you usually get with your tuition, which is already like really, really low, but you get free transportation usually for your state. in Germany, so I'm used to basically free public transportation everywhere. So,
Yeah.
but I guess it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and then our textbooks were super cheap. So I don't know about how much you pay in Germany for textbooks, but in America, one textbook could be like $250. But in Korea, I paid a total of 40,000 won, which is maybe like $37, $38 for all my classes for one semester. And like, I want to say about half of them had textbooks. So like, as an American, that was amazing. Just saying.
Okay, as a German, like in my entire college career, I only bought textbooks the first semester, and then I found out you don't really need them, at least in my major. So when they wanted me to buy the textbooks in Korea, I was like, why? So I didn't actually like spending. It wasn't even like maybe 50,000, so like $50 or something. So for me, I was like, why do I have to pay for textbooks? But I guess from an American perspective,
that's great. We were so happy. We were so happy about textbooks. All right. We have another question.
And yeah, I think there were more parts about the question.
Oh, were there?
Oh, is it easy to stay in Korea?
Well, I mean our school.
Do you mean the visa?
Yeah.
Because
if you mean the visa, our school sponsored us, so it was very easy.
it was the visa was for me it was free. I think you had to pay for the visa.
Yeah, I had to pay like $45 or something.
Oh yeah, in Germany it was free to get the visa. But
That's nice.
yeah, so it was really easy to.
If that's what you meant, yes, yes. But I don't know about you, but I remember at the time I had to decide whether I wanted to apply for a 6-month visa or a full year. And I ended up applying for the full year, which I'm really thankful that I did because I ended up staying a year.
Yeah.
But I remember they told us that if we had applied for the 6 months, it would be very difficult to get the second.
Yeah, they said that.
Like a visa for the second semester because the government will look at how you did in your Korean classes. Do you remember what else Derek said?
I don't remember because I knew from the beginning that I wanted to stay for 2 semesters, so
Yeah,
it wasn't
you were
even
lucky. I didn't
a
know
question
that.
for me.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to. But I think he said there was an interview. I think.
Maybe, I don't know.
There might be an interview, but they will look at your grades from the first semester to determine whether they will give you that second visa or not.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about going to Korea, maybe get the longer visa just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Because it's basically like, it's not, I know Chinese visas are really expensive. I'm applying for one right now. They're expensive. So, but the Korean ones aren't. So
Yeah.
just get the 1 year one.
The 1 year one. Okay. What is the next one? Are there scholarships for summer or winter programs?
Our school had one. I mean, I don't know about the others in Seoul, but we had like the exchange students could apply for the English camp kind of. They had young students. I think they were like elementary school.
Yeah, they were elementary school.
Yeah.
So cute.
So if you applied for that and you got it, not everyone got in.
Yeah.
But maybe I think they took
10?
6, 10.
I think maybe it depends on whether it was the winter or the summer one.
Yeah, maybe. So they took some people.
Yeah.
And because you have to move out of the dorm usually for break.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got the internship, it was
You got moved into another dorm.
Yeah.
A nicer dorm, actually. They were
It was
bigger.
a newer dorm.
You got a newer dorm, and it was a bigger dorm.
Stay there for free for the whole break, even though the program was only like 6.
I don't even know.
Okay, it wasn't the whole break.
No, it was not.
But you could stay for the whole break for free.
And you got paid.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But
So-
that also meant you had to stay in the small college town, and because it was just a college town, it was dead over break. Like the
Yes,
restaurants, they
so
all closed.
dead.
Like most of them closed.
I remember
So-
like, the first day I
Is
got
it
to
worth
explore.
it?
The first day I got to
Yeah.
explore, half the stores were closed.
Yeah.
And I was so confused on why they were closed. And then like 3 days later, it was like bright and like bubbly and
Yeah,
like
because all the
lights on.
Koreans moved in. We moved in before the Koreans,
Mhm.
and then when all the Koreans came, it came to life.
Yeah, it came to life. It was amazing. And then.
Yeah, but I'm sure like the bigger schools in Seoul, they probably have internship programs too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Or scholarships.
Yeah.
About scholarships.
Either of them. All right. You want me to read it? All right. So.
Oh, it was my turn, right?
I don't even know.
Go ahead.
We're gonna. Okay, so now moving on to the questions that are from YouTube. The first one was the Korean high school system is known to be very demanding towards Korean students. Were the requirements the same for you as an international student when you studied there?
I mean, we didn't go to high school. We went to college.
Yeah.
But, I mean, technically, I guess the requirements were the same. Like, we had to take the same amount of credits. But our classes were way easier. Like, because we had Korean roommates, we would notice, like, how much they had to study. And it was way more than we had to do. Like, they had to write papers all the time. They stayed up until, I don't know, 4 a.m. My roommate used to stay up until, like, 4 a.m. to study. And then get up again at, like, 8 or something. They had crazy studying hours. Yeah. So I guess I think college is just as demanding as high school there. Maybe.
I don't know. I thought it was easier. Like, it was harder to get into Korean university.
Yeah, maybe.
And then easier to stay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The requirements are technically the same.
Yeah, we had to take the same, it was 18 credit hours, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we had to, by law, Koreans have to take 18 credit hours each semester, so we had to follow that requirement as well, but our classes were different.
Yeah, it was way easier.
Much
But we
easier.
were also exchange students, not regular international students that were completely enrolled. I would think those have the same like level.
If we had been taking classes, like actual like coursework classes for our major, it would have been very difficult. But we were taking classes that were specifically meant for the people that were participating in the internship program.
Yeah, they were all in English and mostly the foreigners. Like, Koreans could participate too.
But they didn't as much.
Because they had other different, like, difficult classes there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go for it.
I know that Koreans are really polite when speaking to you, but an African American friend of mine said that she had a really hard time there because of racism. Can you recommend anything to her or maybe speak about this?
Yeah. Okay, so we cannot speak from our personal experiences, so we reached out to some of our friends that we also studied abroad with, and both of these girls were there for a year. So yeah, we have some messages from them.
We're just gonna read their messages.
We're gonna read their messages. Okay. One of our friends said, my experience was really good. I did not really experience any open racism. Everyone I met there was very nice to me and thought I was very beautiful. They did say I reminded them of famous black people sometimes, and they thought I could sing because I was black. But before I went to Korea, I did a lot of research on other black people going there. They could have different experiences. It is important to know that most of the time, their only reference is online and TV, which doesn't always depict us in the best light, and they might have had a bad experience with another black person that skewed their judgment. Also, this might be the first time they've met a black person in person. It is our job as black people to show and to show them. It cut off. I cut it off by accident. To show you, it's the same message.
No, wait, doesn't continue.
Oh wait, it probably should. Oh, to show. Okay, found it. Difficulties. Okay, to show them our best side because they don't always know how awesome we can be. Oh yeah, she says. Oh yeah, and I have noticed knowing Korean, even a little, gains a lot of respect from the people. Awesome. So that was one, and then you want to read the other one?
Yeah. Okay. She said, my experience with Korea overall was pretty great. There were some difficulties I had to overcome, like every other foreigner. I'd get stares and would get shoulder bumps by a lot of ajumas, so the old ladies, because I was a foreigner. A lot of my discomfort lied a lot with the elders of Korea, and it could be because they never seen a black person before. Thankfully, it just went as far as staring, shoulder bumps, and occasional whispers. After a while, I got used to it. There were some older men and women who were really sweet though. I made many friends in Korea and it really made my experience sweeter and outweigh the bad. My Korean friends really took care of me and brought me to many fun places. I think making friends in Korea is not too difficult as you present yourself as respectable. Koreans would be really eager to make friends, well, in my experience. And I always use the opportunity to re-educate Koreans about African Americans.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about different types of people.
Yeah.
I know, like, my students would always ask me weird questions. Well, okay, it feels weird as an American being asked. Like, you have the option to TA in our program for students, like Korean students that are learning English that aren't like in the dorm or in our program specifically. So like mine would always ask me questions like, oh, do you own a gun? Does everyone are you scared to live in America? Is it dangerous? And I remember thinking, no, I don't know. So I think everybody
Yeah, I think a lot of the things they said also applied to all the foreigners.
Yeah.
Like, we would all get stared at and stuff, and whispers, and...
Yeah, I remember when...
Ajumas are generally, like, rude to
They're aggressive.
everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think they were targeting, like, black people specifically.
Yeah. There was one stop that had a lot of like an older population.
Yeah.
So anytime you were gonna get on the subway at that time, you were gonna have to push them back. I know that sounds rude, but like culturally that was like acceptable when getting on and off the subway because there were like, herds of people getting on through these little doors. So like, they would run to their seats because they wanted a seat.
Yeah.
So like you're gonna get pushed.
Also one thing I had that was, I guess, a little racist towards foreigners in general, maybe. I went clubbing with two friends. Mm-hmm. One was Asian, but she came from America, and another one was Korean, was her Korean roommate. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to go clubbing, and they let both of them in for free because the club was free, but when I wanted to get in after them, they were like, no, you have to pay 10,000 won, which is like $10.
Yeah, about.
I was like, why? And they said something in Korean, and our Korean friend translated it was like, oh, because you're a foreigner. So they even let in my Canadian friend because they didn't know that she wasn't Korean. They just wanted to stop me because I was a foreigner. Maybe they had some bad experiences with foreigners before in their club because, I mean, they don't meet a lot of foreigners. So if they meet some, it's gonna be really, like, make a big impression on them. But yeah. I feel like if you were African American and you experienced that, it could be seen as, oh, they're really racist towards just that group of people, but it was racist towards every foreigner.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible they're a little more racist.
Yeah, maybe.
But, I mean, again, we can't speak for that. Yeah, but
we got the two answers from.
Yeah, our friends, they said they didn't experience too much, I guess. Okay, and then our last question was, are many Koreans very religious? If so, what religions are more common? And do they, generally speaking, respect people who have religious views other than their own? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're very, like, what did it say? Sorry.
Open?
Yeah, very respectful towards other, like, people's religion. Mm-hmm. And, like, usually I didn't even know if my friends were religious at all. Like, no one, like, prayed openly or...
Yeah, we didn't see that a lot.
No.
Like,
I think most of them weren't religious, like, to begin with. That's why maybe we didn't notice it. But even if they were, they weren't, like, really...
open about... Oh, no, I wouldn't say they weren't open about it, because if you ask them, they tell you.
Yeah.
But they weren't, like, in your face about it.
Yeah.
So, like, your roommate, Doi, she's Catholic. And I just found that out.
Yeah, I didn't even know for the longest time either.
Yeah, they live together. And they're, like, best friends. Like, they send each other packages still. Okay, like, they're really close, and she just found that out recently.
Yeah, like, you would never know. Like, I mean, you see a bunch of churches, mostly because in Korea, all the churches have this red neon cross on top of them that glows at night. So if you get lost at night, you always know where the nearest church is. Yeah. But, I didn't know. I didn't really know many Koreans who went to church at all. Like, I know some of them went to church for, like, Easter or something, I think. But that's mostly it. Yeah,
like, my friend and I, we went to church almost every Sunday, like, our second semester. And there was only one student that we saw, like, from our program that was there. Like, that was a Korean.
Yeah.
So, like, it tells you how few there were. And I know, I don't know if you got stopped, but I got stopped twice by, like, other religious people. And they wanted to, like, have me go to, like, their church or, like, their study group, which was a little odd. Because I remember them telling me in Korean, like, oh, like, come to our Bible study. And these were, like, older women. Okay, these were ajumas. Like, come to, like, our Bible study. We have one for students. It must be so hard to make it to Mass all the time. And I remember telling them, like, no. Like, I go to Mass every Sunday. No, I'm good. And I remember them being, like, a little, like, oh, but, like, you should come to ours. So they were, like, a little, I don't want to say aggressive, but they were a little, like, pushy about it. But, I mean... That's the only type of pushy that I ever saw. Yeah, in my whole year there, I only met one ajuma, also when I was out with friends, and she came up to us and was like, oh, hi there, like, because she spoke a little English,
So she's like, hey, how you doing? And oh, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And
that's when you know you should run.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we just talked a little, and when she found out I was German, she was like, oh, my daughter learns German, that's so nice, and blah, blah, blah. So she was really nice about it.
Yeah.
She wasn't too pushy, but she was like, well, you should really come to our church. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. But that was only once, like, for the whole year, so.
I remember after that first experience, I was super scared.
You were?
Well, yeah, because the first time, it was a security guard for the bank. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Our classes were all in this one building. There's like a bug. There's this one building. There's this one building. And right next to that building was like the administration building. It wasn't even administration. There was another general building, and it had like the bank in it for all the students to go to and like the people that live in that town, and she was a security guard for that bank. So I remember avoiding the bank hardcore because I didn't want her to recognize me, because I had my student jacket when she approached me the first time.
Oh yeah.
So she knew like foreigner, student jacket, like she knows where I take my classes. And then the second time was outside that building.
Oh really?
Yeah, the second time I got approached on campus, and there were these 3 ajumas with a map, or I thought it was a map. So when they said like, oh, 저기요, like, 시간 있으세요? Like, hey, excuse me, do you have time? I was like, oh, they must be lost or something. Because that's happened to me before, where ajumas don't even care that I'm like obviously a foreigner, and they'll ask me a question. I'll be like, oh, it's that way. But so that's what I thought they were gonna ask me. And then they pulled out a newspaper and be like, do you see Barack Obama? Like, he approved our church. And like, yeah. And then I remember I was like, oh, I have to go back to class. And then someone from our office, the international office, apparently approached them and was like, you have to leave. Like, don't approach our students or something. I don't even...
Yeah, no, I got approached in a different town. Like, it wasn't even close to the university. It was just at some shopping street.
Yeah.
She just came up to us.
Yeah. I feel like they target foreigners.
Maybe.
Or maybe the Koreans can tell who they are and they like swerve. Yeah. And we don't, because we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was a second part to that question actually on the bottom.
Was there?
Yeah.
I think were they respectful?
No, this one.
Oh, there. Oh, what country that you've been to so far felt the safest?
Safest, Korea.
Korea, me too. I've been to a lot of countries. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know, like 35 or something. And yeah, no, definitely hands down Korea. It's not that I feel unsafe like in Europe or like in my own country or America or whatever. It's just that I felt so safe in Korea.
Yeah.
Like there was no pickpocketing at all. Like when I went out with friends like to party or something in Seoul, I would just leave my phone like just like that in my pocket and like not even close it or something. And like I wouldn't even think about someone like that someone would steal it or something. Yeah. No, that wasn't a thing.
I always felt safe. Like,
yeah, super safe.
The only time I felt unsafe was when I went. So I went to Music Bank and I like had to stay out the whole night because the train was late and our dorms closed at like 11:30. So I got back at like 12 or like a little after 12. So I had to stay at the PC Bang overnight. And I'm a little stubborn. So once the clock hit 5, or once it was like 4:30, because our dorm opened at 5, I started walking up like this giant hill in the dark to go back to the dorm because I wanted my bed. And so that's the only time I felt unsafe, is because I was going up this giant hill in this town that was like asleep, like by myself. And I remember there were 2 students, 2 guys, that were also in our dorm. I don't know who they were. Okay. I was behind them. But they were going up the dorm, and that's the only time I felt unsafe, I guess, because like had I been by myself, I probably would have felt safer walking up the hill 4 in the morning, 4:30. But that's the only time, and that was just because I was being stubborn. All the other times I felt super safe, and I wasn't suspicious of anyone wanting to do anything bad, anything like that.
No, me neither. I mean, I'm generally not that concerned for my safety, but yeah, especially in Korea, always felt super safe.
Yeah, and that's not to say like the other countries we've been to aren't safe.
No, it's just that Korea is super safe.
Extra safe.
Like in Germany, I'm aware that there's pickpockets and stuff like that. So, I mean, it doesn't feel dangerous here. It's not what I'm saying, but yeah.
Not saying America's dangerous. I mean, not like it's just different. But yeah, I think that was all the questions we had.
No, there was one more.
I lied. There was one more. Let me ask you this one, Laura. This is for Laura. Okay. Are there any similarities between Germany and South Korea that you guys noticed, like culture, manners, language, etc.?
Okay. I thought about this for a really long time because when someone asked me, "Oh, how was Korea? Was it any different?" Blah blah blah. I mean, there's mostly differences. There's so many differences. So I had to think about this hard, I came came up with a few things.
Yeah, she wrote them down. This is that important to her.
Yes, because we had to really think about that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one is for culture. That in Germany, if it's when it's your birthday and you invite friends like to a restaurant or something, you usually pay for them. I mean, unless you're like super broke, but usually you pay for everyone at the restaurant. And yeah, it's that way in Korea too. You when it's your birthday, you pay for your friends, the ones you invited, and in America, you don't.
Yeah.
You get invited.
At least in my experience as being an American, a 22-year-old American, we don't pay for each other.
Yeah.
Maybe if we had full-time jobs, but yeah, I've never seen someone pay for the whole group of people like that.
Yeah. And the second thing, actually, Natalia noticed that when she came to Germany, she said, "Oh, there's so many people smoking here." Because I don't even realize, because it's normal for me. Yeah. But she said, yeah, she noticed that there's a lot of people smoking. And I guess there are, like, compared to the States, there's more, like, I think Europe in general, more people smoke here. And, yeah, I guess in Korea, too. It was mostly guys, though, I feel like, at least in public.
That was a culture shock for me.
Oh, was it?
Yes, the smoking. Because I wasn't used to, like, at my school, I've seen people smoke maybe twice, and I'm a senior. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
people
a senior.
Smoke all the time.
So when I went to Korea, and literally on the side of every single building, there was a group of guys smoking. Usually they were all guys. Like, smoking so openly, and, like, all the stores on campus sold, like, cigarettes. I was surprised. I was shook.
Okay.
Anyway, go back to your question.
So, yeah, similarities. And then for the language, one of my favorite words in Korean is alba. It's like part-time job. And it comes from the word arbeite, which comes from the German word Arbeit, which means work. And I was so excited to see like a German word in Korean, because it was so unexpected, because it's like, I don't even know where it came from. If you know where it comes from, let us know. Yeah. But yeah, that was my favorite word. And also another thing, I guess especially compared to English, is that there's different formality levels. I guess it's the same in French and Spanish too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you already study Korean, you know there's like if you add the yo or the imnida, it's like more formal. And in German too, you have the du and the sie, and you conjugate the verb. Yeah. Verbs differently. So. Okay, I just remembered, because I didn't write it down. There's another thing that's not really cultural, but it was very exciting for me because Germany and Korea have the same outlets, like the same sockets where you plug in your electronics. So it was really nice because when I lived in America, I had to like not only does the plug look different, they also have a different charge, so I couldn't use all of my electronics. Because the current is low or something. But it was like the exact same thing in Korea and Germany, which was so nice. Didn't need to bring any converters. Okay, yeah, that's it. How would you be able to find a good company to travel under and how to fit in? As in, you know how sometimes during high school you have to register and explain on why you want to be an exchange student, so they send you there.
Okay, so I don't know about your program. I assume it was the same as mine. But I applied through my university, and they were like partner schools. So I had applied to my university as I want to participate in this Korean program. Then my school went through their own application process. I was accepted, and then my application was sent to the Korean university, and then they had to accept me into that program. So for me, it was 2 applications. Yeah,
so for my school, we were also partner schools. I think you can only get into our specific program if you were a partner school of the Suncheon University. Yeah, so I know that in my school, there's not a lot of people who apply to that Korean university. So I already knew pretty much that I was going to be accepted, and I didn't have to write like a big application. I think it was literally just filling out like the forms that, oh yeah, I want to go to this university for this semester, blah blah blah, and then just hand it in. And then I guess Suncheon does their own application process though, because
we had to write essays for. Well, I did. I had to write an essay for Suncheon for the Korean university.
Probably did too, but I forgot about it already. Yeah, because they only accept a certain amount of people from each university.
Yeah.
Like I know that some people reapplied to go to our university again for another semester, and they
Both of us did that.
Yeah, both of us did that,
Got
but we heard of other people too that didn't get in. So,
For the second time.
Yeah, for the second time.
Yeah. So, and then I assume you're meaning like third party kind of stuff. So we didn't have that experience, but I know they exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because or you can apply directly to the university.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, as like an exchange student.
It might be a little difficult.
It'd be difficult, and it'll probably cost more because you'll have to pay like the actual tuition
Yeah.
cost because you'll be an international student instead of an exchange student.
Mm. Yeah. So it would be best if you find a university that has a partner university in Korea.
Yes. Moral of the story is it's cheaper if you go through a partner school. All right, so while I was editing, I realized that Laura and I accidentally missed the last part of your question. So I'm going to answer it here by myself. So in terms of fitting in, I know for me, I wasn't like super like, oh, I need to fit in. But I know like after about a month or so, I started to like, I don't want to say like try to fit in because it wasn't like conscious, I think. I think it was more like, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I know like when I first got like Western style of clothes and makeup is very different, right? So after a while, seeing all these girls have like pastel makeup, pastel clothes, like always looking super cute and on point when they go to class, like always wearing makeup, I started to do that too. I know like Korean girls will not leave their dorm room without like having some kind of like tinted lip balm or lipstick or something on. So I don't wear lipstick. Like I don't really wear lipstick or lip tints or anything that much. I just wear like chapstick. So when I got there, I was like, oh, that's so pretty. So after a while, I ended up buying so many like water tints or like lip tints or lipsticks or whatever goes on your lips. I had one, at least one. I ended up coming back from Korea with like 20 different lipsticks, and that's coming from someone who had never worn lipsticks before. So I gradually started to like assimilate like that, and I started buying a lot of like Korean style clothes, like a lot of those shirts with like the pastel colors and then like that box that has a random word in it, and just like starting to look more put together all the time. So I know that's personally how like I started to like try and started to assimilate, adapt, I don't know. And that wasn't like a conscious thing. Like I didn't go into a store being like, I'm gonna buy some Korean clothes because I want to fit in. It was like, no, I just started to really like the style because I was seeing it so much that like that's what I was doing. And I know another thing that like I did notice, like at the time I was like, oh my gosh, here at my school it's super like normal to wear yoga pants everywhere you go, and I think that's true for most of the United States. But yoga pants are like the go-to wear when you're going to class. But so I took like 2 pairs with me to Korea, and then I only wore them once. The whole year, I only wore them once, and that one time I only wore them for half the day because I started to feel uncomfortable. I felt like I had just rolled out of bed, so I felt like people were staring at me, and I mean, they weren't, but I felt like they were because I was dressed differently. So that's one thing I did notice, that like I started to feel like funny, like I felt like I didn't fit in. But yeah, so there's that. And in terms of like actively trying to fit in, you're just gonna have to get used to a lot of observational learning. So if they're using 2 hands, you use 2 hands. Like one thing I had to learn was when I was going to church, the priest, like we'd go to like 회식, but like it wasn't a 회식. It was like a 교회식, I don't know. It was like a church dinner that we'd go to after mass, and it was like all the students and like the faculty or staff there at the church and like the priest, right? So whenever they would pour the priest a drink, they'd put their hand up here and like give it to him. And I was used to like this or like this, not like up here. So like I had to do that. And I remember I didn't want to do it at first because I don't know. I was like, I didn't know that this was like necessarily more respectful. I just thought, I don't know. So like I remember doing this and like being told, no, put it up here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like just things like that, like picking up on things, and just if they correct you, just like start doing it immediately. that'll help you fit in. So like if they are calling the waiter over like Tokyo, like you start doing that too. And it's not, I know it might feel awkward, but they don't see it as awkward at all because like that's their culture. So just picking up on observational learning, things like that. And I know for you specifically, you who asked this question, you are learning Korean, which is great. And like the more you make an effort to use that Korean, or the more you like advanced you get, the more you'll fit in. And I feel like that's like a no duh, but it does really help. So for me, since we did live in that small college town, like the shop owners knew me. So when I'd go in, I'd feel super welcomed because they'd be like, oh, you're back. And we'd have this small like conversation in Korean and things like that. So like, even though it was obvious, like I'm a foreigner, I felt very welcomed and I felt like I fit in because I was like treated like I fit in because they were able to like talk to me instead of them being like, English, here's a calculator with how much you owe us or something. You know what I mean? And if you're concerned about it, I just want to say, like, the people that are most important to you in Korea, like your friends, after a while, they will forget that you're a foreigner. Like, you know how once you become friends with someone, you kind of, like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you first meet someone, you see all this, like, stuff, like, I don't know, like, first impressions kind of stuff, right? Like, you're a foreigner will be one of your first impressions. But after a while, you know how those first impressions, like, leave, or not leave, but, like, you kind of forget about them and you see like the real person kind of thing. That happens in Korea too in regards to like your foreignerness. So the people that are most important to you will forget that you're a foreigner. And I mean, the people on the street will always like, when they first see you, they'll be like, oh, foreigner, cool. But again, the people most important to you will forget. So at least with them, you'll fit in. So don't worry about it too much. But I hope that answered your question, and I'm sorry we skipped it. We got so caught up on that company thing, but yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Now, definitely all the questions.
Okay, if we did miss your questions, because I had trouble finding them back like on Instagram, just let us know down below, and we'll answer it.
Yes.
Through a comment. Yeah. All right. Well, we were very honest. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Bye.